empower each other. If whatever feel you choose to take, I am here to say, listen, I'm cheering you on. So if you want to go and be an engineer, I'm cheering you on. If you want to stay with your family, I'm cheering you on. Whatever the journey, and like you rightly said, wherever your journey is, feel comfortable. Because as women too, we tend to believe, we tend to attach our womanhood to things and not our spirit or aura as a woman. Yeah, because I'm not my hair, I'm not my skin, I'm not my job. Do you get what I'm saying? It's my spirit as a woman, as a Christian woman, a woman of God. If I decide to champion the cause of staying with my family, salute me.
Yes.
Just as you salute me if I have a doctor's degree or if I'm going into a particular field. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So what I'm calling for is a balance. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That balance.
I think Michelle, right?
Yeah, Michelle.
I think you mentioned the fact that it's okay, whatever you decide.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I think, for me, at least, in my opinion, I'm empowered more today because it is accepting of people, of women, to transition to the home, back to the home, and taking care of their kids, taking care of the home. I feel it's more accepting today than it was back then. And that's because there was a transition, a transformation, if I could say, or just an easing into what it looks like today. There are more women going back into the home and taking care of being a stay-at-home mom than a few years ago. I think it's a lot more accepting now. I'm only basing it on social media, seeing that there's so many women that are choosing to resign from their job.
Not really. I think there's a battle now because it's the trans versus and I'm like, no, I don't want to do the verses.
So that's what I want to unpack,
so
because
a versus now. There's a fight.
So that's what I want to unpack, because
there's a fight now.
Before the 50s,
but I think the fight came on.
Before the 50s, women were at home and they were fine being at home, and it was okay.
Yes.
And then somewhere along the line, you're right, it became
not
taboo,
okay.
not okay. Because I actually had a friend in high school who she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and she couldn't. She said she was afraid. She didn't want to do it because people looked down at her. And like you said, more and more you're seeing a transition. More women are accepting it.
I think that is the word I'm saying.
Yes.
It's more acceptable today.
But something happened there in the middle of that where it became. It was okay. It was fine. This was fine. This is what we did. To it's not okay. It's a horrible thing. Being a stay-at-home wife, mother is just not to be done. To know where more women are transitioning into it, it's okay, but there's still a battle.
Rift, yes.
And I want to go to this article that kind of.
But I think the battle came about because the women who are staying at home with the parent, with children.
Yes.
I think some of them on social media. I think they make it seem as if, okay, I am better than you now. And they make it seem like it's a fairy tale. And if a woman chooses not to stay home, or could you not? So I think the battle came about because of social media again.
No, I'm wondering though.
There's this fight, yes, the trans versus the working woman type of thing.
But I'm wondering at that though, because before social media, because the time when I'm sharing about my friend, there was no social media.
Right.
And she was terrified of sharing with persons that
feminist movement causes that problem at the time.
And so that's what I'm looking at
but
here.
No, it's not the feminist movement. No, it's social media and how the ladies are doing it. So it's sorry, go ahead.
But what I hear us saying, and this is what is happening here in this video, persons are pushing back at her, just like you said. She's sharing her choice, her lifestyle. She makes no prescription for all women. She aligns with the idea that, hey, this is about choice. Giving yourself the choice. It's okay to stay at home and enjoy that and dress yourself up and look your best, just like someone would go, I got my master's degree, I put on my best clothes.
I think she got the pushback because she was saying that you need to dress like this.
No, she's saying this is how she says, this is how I dress, because just like someone goes to work and looks nice out in the world, she wants to look nice at her job, one, and two, for her husband, two, and three, as she's representing, because she's also a believer, because she's representing God even in this job. And she pushes back on the idea of, and I think it came up in the video also, just putting on some leggings and walking around, and that's life, because you're saying life is hard, I don't have time.
I think that's where she got the pushback when she mentioned the leggings. I think some people misunderstood what she said. So that's where the pushback came.
Because so when we tease that apart, right,
Yeah.
and you look at it and you go, what would happen if you just, hey, you're a teacher or you work in media, you just decided to put some leggings on and go to work and just, you know, kind of do your hair however you wanted to, just kind of just let it hang out? What would happen in that case? You'd get pushback at work, right? They say,
Yes.
put yourself together. So she's literally doing the same thing as saying, hey, this is a job as well, put yourself together. So why do you think there's pushback there as opposed to someone saying the same thing at the office?
Like I said before, I think the pushback came either they misunderstood what she was saying, because I think somebody responded by saying, is she saying that all women must dress like that? Do you get what I'm saying? So that's when the pushback came. So the pushback did not come when she said, okay, this is how I dress and this is how I'm doing it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's why when I'm referring to the trad woman, I refer to myself and what I do on a daily basis and the decision I choose to make. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because like I said before, once we come with this misconception that, oh yes, it's all good, we present this false narrative as if it's all good once you stay home. It's not.
But this is what I'm trying to unpack here. And even as you stand at the precipice looking on the other side to go, is she making it seem unreal? What is causing us to believe that? Because if we're saying her doing this, we're equally saying the boss babe is unreal as well, because we've underlined all the challenges that may be at your job.
Not necessarily, but
Yeah,
like,
no, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because there is a lot of pushback being a boss babe. There's a lot of pushback being the modern woman.
Yes.
And the one that is climbing up the career ladder.
Yes.
There's a lot of pushback to that. But again, as Michelle mentioned earlier, she was pointing out all the decisions that she made and all the choices that she made based on her
experience.
It was her
Yes.
her experience, it was her narrative, it was her decision, it was her choices. Never did she ever say, and you know what, ladies, you need to do that too.
You need to dress like
maybe
this,
you
you
should
need to do this.
So there was no dictating of
Yes.
of how I should look and how I should dress. I'm choosing to sort of be under a corporate boss,
Yes.
under management who
Yes.
they have their standards, they have their rules, and as long as I'm there, I have to abide by those
the rules and regulations,
and as for her, she has to abide by whichever rules
Yes.
person she's under, and
which
so
is my husband, and we have to work together to make it
and
work.
it has to be
You get what I'm
a
saying?
partnership,
Yes.
has to be a team. So again, for me, there's gonna be pushback, but I don't ever want us to feel that by our choices we have to also project that
That onto
lifestyle or
somebody
that
else.
onto
Do you get what I'm saying?
those choices or decisions.
And another thing, she mentioned the social media, and I want to get this very clear. You see, once you take up a camera and do this, once you take up a phone and do
Yes.
this on a daily basis, you have to understand too that is your presentation.
Yes.
Because even some people at work, they make it guys say work is always good too. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's not a reality. Even as Miss Gallego said earlier, that people present a picture and we all smiling in the picture, but that's not reality. So even when you look on all our videos,
Yes.
it's like it look picture perfect.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I get it.
So I
I
think
get it.
people are having the problem with the picture perfect. If you're gonna show me reality, just tell me that this is reality, or this is my reality. Do you get what I'm saying? Because my reality is different from your reality.
And I completely get that. And
you get what
I
I'm saying?
understand
So
that.
is
And
the- so is the-
even as you've said it,
Yes.
and Shanda has reaffirmed that
Yes.
that's what you're saying. You're sharing your reality.
Yes.
I'm wondering though as to why we keep taking her sharing her reality as an offense. And I'm going to share with you this article that was in response to her video. And this person, her name, and this is from Vogue, Monica Ainley. She says, I've always subscribed to the idea that feminism is its purest form, is about choice. Want to be an astronaut? Fly to the moon. Do it. Care to forego marriage and children entirely? More power to you. Prefer to stay at home and raise kids? Hats off. But then she goes down a few sentences later and go, so why am I so riled up by the trad wife movement? And it connects to what you were saying earlier in that we're talking about choice, but seemingly someone making this choice for themselves becomes offensive.
Maybe I just blanked at some point, but I do remember when she was mentioning about wearing real clothes or
Yes.
something of sort. And I feel like that to me was where I kind of
Yes.
I put the pin in it, because
Yes.
when she is saying her choice and her lifestyle, yes, that's one thing. But when you're projecting a standard, or when you're
Yes.
dictating how one should live, I think that's where we kind of go right and she goes left. Because in my mind, I don't have a problem with her lifestyle. That's her lifestyle. I respect it. Sure, I can appreciate
Show
it
me
as well.
Yeah, show me it.
But at the end of the day, I don't want anyone really to dictate how I should dress, how I should live, how I should, based on then what you've purposed or believed that standard should be. If you understand, I feel like what she's doing is projecting a lot. I feel like she's also dictating. She's also trying to, also in a sense, push us to that lifestyle. But that's not everyone. That's not for everyone. So
And
I'm
that's
just
fair. And
that's where I'm distinguishing the two.
fair enough. And I'm still trying to tease it apart, because there's something happening. There's something happening. It's happening in the article, and it's happening here, in that she's saying something that is causing some kind of dissonance, and it engages the resistance muscles, right? And what I'm hearing you say is that in that it sounds prescriptive, it sounds controlling, it sounds like she's saying everyone should do this. And I'm saying, okay, fine, let's take that for granted and saying that's what she's saying. If someone were to say the same thing in the work environment, to say, hey, you can't wear leggings to work, you can't wear tights as a teacher to work, would we take it with the same, I guess, resistance? Would it come to us with the same control, or would we be able to navigate past and go, okay, I see the standard that you're trying to recommend, suggest, in accordance with the principles that you have set this. You've said, and you said it at the beginning of the show yourself, Michelle, that this is the highest calling. So
For
when you
me,
show up
yes,
for you,
yes.
so when you show up
I
here,
believe it is for me, yeah.
my recommendation may be for you to demonstrate, to show that, to project that. What is it that causes us not to hear that from her, but instead hear the control, the prescription, and go, you know what, enough of you, and shut her down? Because this is what she's saying. Why am I so riled up by the trad wife movement? What is this gut flipping repulsion that comes over me whenever Gen Z or the millennial housewives of practicing, they call them stay-at-home girlfriends, promote patriarchal relationships and values online? That's a direct quote from the
It's a
article.
very interesting article.
But is our delivery again? Because we have to be careful when we say things. Is our delivery? Because for example, even when I'm talking about me staying at home,
Yes.
I'm coming from a standpoint of love. And if you choose to do this,
Yes.
hey, I'm here to support you. So it's sometimes our delivery, how we send out information through the media. Do you get what I'm saying?
All right, I'm going to change gears just a little bit to see
Yeah.
if we put it in a different arena, if it feels different. We're all believers here, right?
Yes.
So when we go out, of course, we're saying persons because God has given us free will. We get the choice to choose God, yes or no. But we do evangelize, we encourage, we say to
Yes.
persons, this is the best decision for you.
Yes, but how the delivery though? You see, the delivery is so important because even when I say I'm a stay-at-home mom,
Yes.
a lot of people hit at it and say, but I don't respond in certain way. I'm saying, I understand, but it's my journey is where I'm at right now, and I pray that you just pray for me because there are days when and I think the transparency too. People
Yes.
like transparency. People like honesty. People like just be real with me, and it's okay if you choose to do it that way. It's
Fair
fine,
enough.
but just be honest, be real, be transparent, be open, be honest.
Fair enough.
Okay, so if you come to me and ask me a question, I can say, okay, boy, today was a rough day, you know what I mean? But I feel like throwing in the towel today. I feel like going back to work tomorrow, type of thing. But when I say, okay, no, I'll never go back to work. No, this is the real deal. And then next month you see me struggling, looking at a job. Do you get what I'm saying? So we have to be
Fair
careful
enough.
of our delivery, and we have to be careful of the messages that we're sending to women.
Fair
Because
enough.
remember, everybody going through their little journey too. And it probably is a pet peeve to a woman because she probably struggling and thinks that, boy, she feel guilty about the fact that she can't stay home with her children. So we have to be so careful of the delivery. So it's probably one of those guilty ones who want to stay home and can't stay home because of financial situation.
Yeah.
She probably rubbed them the wrong way when she said what she said. You know, we have to be so careful.
Well, I'm going
I
to
agree
actually
with that
unpack
one.
that as we look at this article a little bit more, because this lady, she actually tried to do it. She said she is going to test the trad wife life for a whole week, and we're going to kind of talk through some of the notes that she delivered. But to kind of go back a little bit, let's see if we can maybe do a fair contrast, right? So there's the you stay at home, you work. What are the challenges then that may beset someone in the work world, Shanda? A woman who wants, I mean, she's working, she's trying to balance all the bills on her own, doing all the things. What are some of the challenges that may beset someone who's trying to be the boss babe?
I think it's different for everyone. I
Okay.
feel like it's a matter of time management. It's a matter of balancing the work life.
Yes.
You know, that work life balance. That's going to be a challenge.
Okay.
But I think if I can just, you know, for me, I've always found the Proverbs 31 woman a challenge. Being a boss babe, because that would mean sacrificing a lot more than I'm willing to be
Okay.
trying to achieve certain career status or certain things. It's gonna pose a challenge, whichever way you look at it. I remember having a conversation with my parents, and you know they were saying, "Well, how does it look when you transition into marriage?" And I'm saying with my words, "I will transition," but
And you will.
saying it
Is a lot different.
is a lot different when you're in it. And again, I won't know until I'm in it. But for me, women can work hard and succeed. Women can be excellent wives and mothers and be also excellent boss babes. And it's, to be frank with you, it's just a matter of how that woman or how that lady can balance it. And there are a lot of challenges that come with that, is sharing time, dividing yourself, spreading yourself thin at times when you want to be at home with your kids, but no, you have a deadline to make. Like now, I have a deadline that I need to make. You know, women can act as the very strong and capable backbones of the family, but also be the backbone of the company as well. It can happen, and we've seen it happen in so many occasions. But then I know that there's challenges with time, being able to spend in the home versus, and not even versus, but in the home and at work as well.
All right. So and then
Well, I can speak to both sides of the coin because I used to work.
Yes.
It was really, and like you say, it's a time management issue. But for me, I was struggling. It was a struggle for me, and I had a teenager at the time and two small children, and I realized I was just passing them by, and it's like the Holy Spirit says, "Stop, look." I didn't spend any time with my husband because I was trying to finish up things at work. And I was a good worker. I work around the clock. I made very good money.
boss can depend on you.
Yeah, man, the boss could depend on me. If it's anything, I'm there. Sunday, I'm there. Saturday, I'm there. All during the week, I'm there. And I realized, is that the Holy Spirit just said, "Stop, look, your family falling apart." And I didn't realize that my family was falling apart because I was thinking that I'm doing this for my family. I'm working hard. I'm just doing this for my family. And it's that the Holy Spirit had to say, "No, stop. Look at what is happening."
So I want to pause there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and that's a very powerful statement that you're making. The boss could depend on you. You were a good
Listen,
worker.
excellent
But your
worker.
family was falling apart. Your
Yes,
husband
and
couldn't
I
depend
did
on you. Your
not
children
see
couldn't
that.
depend on you.
I
And you didn't see it.
No, because I was there with the homework. I was there sitting with them. And I think one day is like my son, yes. I went to work and they called me from school and said, "Okay, you need to come and pick up Malachi. You know, he's not listening and all of that." And I said, "Malachi, what's the issue?" And he started crying and saying nobody not listening to what he's saying and they're blaming him and he feels as if he's being targeted and things like that. And I said, "Okay, God, I'm there. I'm working for everybody. I'm doing everything for everybody. I'm an excellent worker, but I'm not an excellent wife. I'm not an excellent mother. How can I do this then? What can I do?" And I said, "Okay, God, just tell me exactly what to do." And the Holy Spirit said, "You need to leave that job for a little. Just leave the job." And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Leave my job? No, we're not doing that. We have to find another way. Either I'm gonna get somebody to help me, and I got a help at one point, but it wasn't the same. And yes, this lovely lady, but it just wasn't the same. And then when I made a decision to stop working, it was horrible. People say all manner of things, and I just couldn't understand why. because I gave the workplace my all, and I'm now giving my family my all. It was an issue for them. But at one point, it's like somebody said to me, Michelle, I just wanted you to be there for them because you made the job look good. You were good at what you do. But I'm saying, yeah, but I also need the time to spend with my family now. You know, this is just the place I'm at right now. And when I made the decision to come home, and when my son said something to me, I'm like, but you never said that to me before. I'm saying, yes, mommy, I said it to you all the time. And then my stepson was saying something to me, and I could hear his spirit. I was just listening to his words. I could hear his heart. And then my husband saying something to me. And he said, but you always gonna work. And I'm like, but you always gonna work too. And I'm like, no, but when you're here, it's different. And I'm saying, but when you're here, it's different too. And I keep making a comparison. But can I say this? I've observed that there's something that a woman brings to the home. I can't. It's like I can't explain it, and I hope you don't think I'm looking for the word. Don't think that I'm saying it's all good or I'm the best mother ever. But I realized that when I stayed home and I was still, I could hear my family.
Yeah.
I could hear them. I could understand them. I could relate. And then that's why I decided to take my son out of school, and I started homeschooling. And then I started homeschooling my daughter. And it's like I look forward to just being there with me. Yes, some days I have challenges. Some days it's hard. Because, you know, they see me as teacher and they see me as mommy. But I realized I could hear my husband. He could hear me. We started, my family we started to get closer.
I think I know exactly.
Oh my
what
God,
that
it was
means,
amazing.
Michelle. When I was growing up, the roles reversed a lot. And when I was growing up, my dad was the breadwinner. And at one point, they both were the breadwinners. And then the roles reversed where my dad was staying home.
Okay.
And my mom was out in the workforce as the breadwinner. And I remember the food didn't taste the same. Sorry, Dad. Yes. The food didn't taste the same. There's just certain things, you know. My dad did such an amazing job, but there was something that a woman brings that my mom brought growing up, you know, and then when the roles reversed and she stayed at home and my dad worked, the food was that's all I remember. But the clothes were ironed properly. Like she knew. Amen. There's this thing, she makes the best oatmeal porridge. And we talk about it all the time. My mom makes the best oatmeal porridge, and when my dad makes it, it doesn't taste good. It's just very rough and
No, and here's the thing.
There's the beauty of that, and so I'm hearing you, and I'm understanding that there is a purpose in a mother, and
one second. So here's what I'm hearing in the middle of this, right? As you're sharing these stories, as you're connecting with it, and you're recognizing, and even as you're saying it, you're hesitant to go, hey, it does feel a little bit better with mommy than with daddy, because we have different roles. We have there are different things that we bring to the table. So what is it that you believe that causes that hesitation? Because even as you say it, even as you recognize, even as you did it. No, I was looking the
right word, because my biggest thing is love and delivery.
Yes.
So I have to know how to, because I'm not just talking to, we're not just talking to you, we're talking to somebody else out there who's probably struggling and hurting.
Yes.
And want to make a change. So I have to try to use the right words. But I want to mention this
before you go on, right? Because this part is, for me, why there may be some of the challenge for persons who are making that decision.
Yes,
it seems not even the delivery. It seems that we affirm the lady who's taking her degree, who's climbing the ladder, who's doing these things, and there is no challenge in delivery there. We are go sister, go girl, you go, be the boss. But whenever we are affirming the other side, we seem hesitant. We seem not to want to step on anyone's toes. We seem not to want to offend anyone. And while that is not the goal, because it's not the goal when you're affirming the degree, the lady who's getting her degree, because they're persons who don't have degrees.
But I think
on the other side,
personality too, because my personality, I'm like this.
I know,
I have to try to be as kind in whatever. If I'm telling you to go and get a degree, I'm gonna be to that very nice, kind gentleman.
And I get that.
There's gonna be women who don't want to go for the degree. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, and I get that. And again, so this is not specifically at you, because you're saying generally, because even as you wanted to make the decision to become a traditional wife, even in your head there was dissonance. There's those voices, and even as Shanda shared, she was saying, hey, this would be a wonderful thing, but there's a message, there's seemingly something that says you can do it all. And I'm wondering if there may be women who, like you said,
Yeah, 'cause I
want to
couldn't
do it all. There you
Yeah,
go.
I
Want to
couldn't
do
do
it all,
and
and they
it's okay.
struggle
Yeah.
with that message.
I think they struggle a lot too
Yes.
because of the generations before them that have the narrative that it's better to stay at home, and they're also fighting with the challenge of the environment around them. Not many people are staying at home,
Yes.
so there's a lot of different factors playing into why there's a struggle, why there
Yes.
is a resistance. Social media plays a huge role in that because they make boss babes look great.
Yes.
And for me, on my social media, I'm seeing a lot of stay-at-home wives and mothers,
And they're looking great.
and
too.
they're looking great. So there's a lot of factors. There's environment. There's generation. I've had a lot of older women ask, "When am I getting married?" Like I can go on one knee and propose. I mean, I don't discount anyone that has made that decision, but for me, I can't make that choice. That's not something that I would want to do. And so there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of pressure based on preconceived notions of how things are supposed to go, what the standard is, based on sometimes the church and what they're teaching, and based on my neighbor who's at home and she has 6 kids and she's doing everything or seemingly doing it all at home. And so there's a lot of different factors playing in that resistance. And for me, it's, well, what is God telling me?
Yes.
What is God what does God want from me in this season? And a lot of times, I'm a fan of the Proverbs 31 woman, and I always looked at that or look to that as my guide in what I would hope to bring to the table. And I'm sure, Michelle, that you're still working towards being a Proverbs 31 woman, because it's not perfection.
Yes.
It is a guide to being and to becoming and to
And
growing into and evolving
and
Yes.
growing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I feel that I don't discount, and I remember having a conversation with you, Robert, that I would love to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't want to work anymore. I'm done. And I've told my dad a number of occasions, like, no one warned me about adulthood.
Yes.
No one warned me about I want to be a child again, where
Yes.
everything was free.
Yes.
Including living
There you go.
and paying rent, and so for me that's a choice that I would love to make, and every day I'm working towards knowing and understanding what submission looks like, because society will tell you what submission looks like, God will tell you what submission looks like, and I have to try to balance it being in 2024 and figuring out what that looks like. Right. And so it takes on many different forms, many different understanding, and I know that as Christians, as Christian women, we have to always seek Christ and always look for him to order our steps,
Yes.
whichever way that goes, because I know once I hear the calling or another assignment, I know that I want to be like, here I am, send me,
Amen.
So
Amen.
yeah.
You mentioned earlier, I think you
Yes.
asked a question, what was some of the challenges?
Yes.
I think one of the challenges I've observed is that most women, they're afraid to let go of the finances, the money. And understandably so, you think that you have to depend on another person to support you financially. But if you're out there, any woman out there, and you decide to make this decision, understand too that God is our source. He is our source. And when I made a decision to let it go, my husband and I, we started working together. I realized that every single thing started falling in place. It is miraculous, I must tell you. So when I made a decision, we decided to say, okay, husband, we're going to do this. All right, we only have one salary now. We have to budget. My husband wasn't big on budgeting either. You get what I'm saying? So it was really a challenge. But as we went through the journey, as we each step of the way, we start to get better and better and better. And now we're living on one salary in the Cayman Island. It's not easy. And because I've made a change, Sandy, I realize I've started to become more creative. So if I have to cook one meal, I use that chicken today, I fry it, and tomorrow I use it to make Alfredo.
Yes,
And women just want to know that, okay, I can do this, you can do it too. If this is what you want to do, it is okay to try. Because we can always try and fail, But you know what I realized? Once you try God's way, failure is not an option. Once you try God's way, success is your only option.
Success is
Success
guaranteed.
is sure, it's
Yes.
guaranteed. I'm more than a conqueror. And I realized I started doing my daughter's hair. Because remember, I would have to pay and take her to the hairdresser. And I started to get more creative. I started to do art. I started my own business. My husband started his own business. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't realize that I could do so many things.
Yeah, and again, Michelle, we have to understand that it's a ministry. Marriage is a ministry. The home, family, that's a ministry. And what is it? What's the saying? Little is much when God is in it.
Listen,
and you know
that is my listen.
What is the other one? Little become.
Every little make a muckle.
I have seen how things can work.
Yes,
when,
work
you know,
out.
I remember my mom at one point during Hurricane Ivan, we only had her the rice cooker.
All right.
And
you can bake with that.
She made every meal from that rice cooker.
Amen.
And again, men can build a house. Women
make it a home, right?
Course.
Right?
And we're not powerless spectator of this world. Listen, all around us, we have certain gifts that we can use to mold and shape our world. And we have to get to the stage where, because I used to depend on this person to do this. Now I do it myself. Do you get what I'm saying? And right now, if you ask me, Michelle, can you look on a video and make that? There's a high probability that I can. I'm learning to be more creative because I decided, I can remember one day we went to this restaurant and I said, okay, honey, look and tell me what's the name of that meal. Because Clinton said, boy, Michelle, this tastes really nice. I said, look at it and tell me the meal, man. I'll go home and make it. And girl, I go on YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. Right. I go on YouTube and I learn to make it and I dish it out. And my children will say, Mama, we always have to pretty up the food, so don't bother pretty up the plate them like that. But I'm saying just to prepare it, just to be there. My daughter and I, we can be still baking, we're cooking, we're doing this. And there are days when other women, they have to go to work. I'll keep the children during the holidays. I'll keep them. Let's come over, man. Let us cook. Let us do different things. And I'm there and I'm realizing, and I'm at peace. Yeah. And I'm so broke sometimes. Can I be real?
Be very real. Be very real.
Is that you, like so many other women, will be the blueprint for individuals making that transition because you're making that, you're in there, you're in that journey, and
it is possible.
And it is possible. It absolutely is
possible.
possible.
Don't watch the money. Yeah.
So there's something in the middle of that I was trying to connect with to figure out what is it that was causing, say, the hesitation, the challenge, because one of the things that just kept ringing out in my ears was the trust. You mentioned that, hey, trust someone to have to tell someone else about.
Women,
yes.
And I must say this, growing up too in our community in Jamaica, they make the man know your money. They make the man rule you. They make the man control you. Go out there and do your thing. And we hear that sometimes as women growing up. So we tend to be that independent women. But that's
and that's what I wanted to zero in on.
Can't be an independent individual, not even a woman, because
we're
all in the same boat.
Wouldn't that be the devil then planting a seed of distrust if the unit of society, the basic unit of the society is the man and the woman?
Yes.
If you put distrust between those two, what do? What do you accomplish? You break down the basic unit of society, which means you destroy society altogether. So here, as we're saying it and we're saying, hey, this seemingly is a challenge for women. How do I trust a man so the words are not ringing in my head? I don't want him to know my money. One, I don't want him to control me. I don't want him to be in charge because I want to be independent. How do we push back against that message so that we can bring it together? Great.
I simply just started trusting God. I said, God, you have called me to this place and I'm going to trust you. I'm going to leave this job. Whatever happen. Because at one point I said, oh my God, I wonder if I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage. Listen, God, turn it around. You know, we truly serve a miracle working God. We sing it sometimes and we go to church and we clap, but we don't walk that truth. I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their seed begging bread. And that became my reality. I've never seen the righteous forsaken. And I started to trust God more. And in trusting God, and another thing, if my husband give me $1, thank you, baby, all right. When it finish, it finish. I'd never look at him and say, but we giving this $1, it can't do anything. In came mad, my husband give me $100, I'm gonna rock that $100 like $1,000. So we have to start walking our truth, walking our peace, walking our security, and understand that ultimately it's God.
Yes.
It's not the paycheck, it's not the money.
Yeah. And I'm kind of teasing this apart a little bit more because there are some people who are listening and maybe they don't believe in God. They don't they don't have God as their staple. They're looking for God, they're looking for a reason, but they're trying to figure out. And the question here is, how do we help men and women to learn to trust each other again? So that we can together, just like you said, if it's $100, I wonder if him hide some behind there, or I wonder if he's just trying to control me with the $100. But we know that together we are making this $100 work because we're on mission. Is there a way to rebuild the trust walls?
There is a way. Communication is so important. Transparency. For me, communication, it's not easy. People don't really know how to truly communicate with one another. And so I always say a conversation has to happen. That is important to figure out what is it that you like, what is it that I don't like. That having that communication helps to glue a lot of the distress or cancel out the distress that one may have. And I hear a lot of trust, but I don't hear a lot of faith. And
because that's what I want to come to.
Yeah, because the Word of God says in Hebrews 11:6, but without faith it is impossible to please Him. And so for me, when I made a pivot in my career just a couple months ago, I did not want to let go of what I knew because it was so comfortable. It was so sure. And moving into this new chapter, in this new season, I was like, no, this is not going to work. God, no, we're not doing this. And there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of that, not being able to trust God in this move. But He made me so uncomfortable. He made me so uncomfortable. But I made the faith move. And I said, I'm going to trust you. I had no idea what was around the corner. I had no idea what was around the river bend, but I had faith, and that was seemingly the perfect combination or formula for the success that I have today.
And I love that you said that, because God Himself has likened the male-female relationship to Him and the church. So it's the same thing. He's saying, without faith, it is impossible to please God. And I take that to mean without faith in the relationship, without faith, woman to man, then it is going to be impossible for the relationship to work. So we can say communication, and communication is a very powerful tool so that we can help to alleviate some of the anxiety. But sometimes, as you said, God made you uncomfortable. Sometimes the anxiety is necessary. And guess what I heard you say? Through the anxiety, once you got past it and you used faith, it helped to deepen your relationship. It helped to give, oh God, you really did that? You really showed up?
And also to walk in our authority as women, walk in the power that we have, go back to our original power that we have as women. Because society, social media, all of that, I think it's warping what a woman is.
Yes.
And we have to understand that when I walk into a room, as a woman, when I come into a place, my presence is there. It must be felt as a woman. And I don't have to be showing anything. I don't have to look in a particular way, but my spirit walks in with me. And as women, we're not going back there. I used to teach at the prison, and I can remember an inmate said to me, Miss Paul, when you come on the block, something different about you. And all I did differently was to be very respectful to those men and be very kind and genuinely love what I was doing there. You get what I'm saying? So women, we need to walk in our genuine feminine energy. We have lost it along the way. Get back our energy. Walk into that feminine energy. And men will listen. We're losing that feminine energy. We think it's a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. I don't have to be a man. I don't have to be rough for a man to listen to me. I don't have to be rough for a man to obey me. I just need to walk in my feminine. Okay, baby. And God will deal with everything else. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm a yes woman. Yes, everything my husband says I say yes. But I understand who I am. So when I speak, okay, baby, I understand what you're saying. And even when you said earlier, I'm willing to submit to the mission.
That's it.
Do you get what I'm saying? So being a submissive woman is a beautiful thing because we're submitting to what?
The mission.
So what's the mission? It comes through communication. Come to understand, it comes through transparency. Okay, baby, this is the mission that we're going to do today. Okay, Michelle, you're going to teach your children, I'm going to go to work. I have to keep my end on the bargain.
Yes.
So when my husband brings home that $100, it's $1,000 for me.
Yes.
Because I'm submitting to what? The mission that we're at. No.
There's a lot of marriages today, but there's not a lot of purpose-filled marriages. There's not a lot of marriages that seek to fulfill the kingdom of God. And I always try to have that on the frontal lobe of my brain, that while it looks sweet for a wedding, while it looks sweet to be with someone and have you all have matching outfits and going to church and going to the supermarket and having kids and dressing up in portraits and all that is fine and dandy, but there has to be a purpose in the marriage. There has to be a purpose, a mission.
Amen.
And this brings us perfectly to the idea of what is the mission? What is the mission? What do you think the mission of marriage is? And what is the expectation versus the reality of what you've met, Michelle?
Okay, that's a big one.
Yes.
It's me submitting to God's plan first,
Yes.
together as a couple. That's the first thing, submitting to God's plan first, and then submitting to each other second. And once we understand each other's needs, I understand that my husband likes certain things and I like certain things. He doesn't like certain things, I don't like certain things. I try my best to please him and he tries his very best to please me. And in the journey, once we're walking together, there are going to be days when I say, because I remember my husband come on this program and said, there are days when I say I can't bother with this lady, and there are days when I say I can't bother with this man, But guess what? We're doing it for who? For God. So there are going to be days when the struggle is real, but we commit to do it together. We commit to always working it out. Do you get what I'm saying? So once you make that commitment to work it out, to walk it out, and walk with God, all is possible.
So I'm hearing you say that having a higher purpose for your marriage outside of just, hey, we like each other, let's just get together.
Or
we in love.
We're not in love. Not in love, but it's a higher purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, my husband came on the show one day and said, there are days when I don't like. I'm like, You understand? But I'm saying all of that to say, even when it gets hard, we're gonna finish this journey. We're doing this together, and we've made up. Sorry, go ahead.
And that's because of the mission. So even though you don't feel it, if you're only laying on feeling, if your belief is just, okay, this feels good, the moment it doesn't feel good, then the decision, the commitment becomes a little bit more rocky. If you are not having an outside metric, an outside measure, an outside standard that says, hey, this is the standard of marriage. So when you wake up and you don't feel there, you can go. I love when you travel in the States, and you're using the GPS and you've gone off course and it says recalculating, helping you to get back on.
Recalculate.
And I think for me, I think we may have had this conversation in a previous show where it's laying the foundation as a single person first, and then when you know who you are, you know whose you are, you know your mission, you know your ministry, I would believe that it's easier to then when you bring someone in that now you're combining those efforts, right? And so again, it kind of boils down to the individual first. And again, even in marriage, it's an everyday thing for you to submit to God each day, right? And to continue to grow in Christ to help to fulfill the mission within your marriage and for the kingdom. And so for me, it's that. It's always being conscious and conscious-minded of what your purpose, what your mission is, what God has laid upon your heart to do. And hopefully, I'm praying. I'm like, God, please bring my equal. Please bring that purposeful person for me.
Yeah. And you will.
Thank you.
And as we work through that and work through the purpose of your own life, because you're saying, great, we need to figure out what your purpose is, what God designed you as an individual to be, so that He can connect you with the person He designed to complement that purpose, so that together your purposes, together your purpose can be amplified. Together He can accomplish a greater purpose through you together than He could through you individually. And so even as we work through that and persons are going,
and keep good people beside you too.
And keep good people beside you. Yes,
godly,
if you want
good godly people.
If you want to go to East End, and you keep people around you who keep wanting to go to West Bay, you may just end up in...
Just to encourage you.
You're not getting there anywhere. You're not getting there.
Just to encourage you on the journey. Trust me. Good people in your corner.
And so we're kind of unpacking the expectation versus the reality. And part of the challenge... Let's be real. Part of the challenge, and you've mentioned it, part of the challenge in this situation is, okay, the man beside you, right? God says He's the head of the household. Do you believe that?
Yes.
And as the head of the household, what does that mean for you? because someone is going to say, he can't tell me what to do. I'm my own individual. I have my own purpose. I have my own things. And you mentioned earlier, I need to pay my own rent. But what does it mean for him to be the head of the household?
Okay, it means that he's leading, and there are certain things that I lead on. It's just reality. Because even in your job, the boss leads, but the boss, he has to depend on you to do certain things. That's the reality for it to work.
Yes.
So yes, he's leading. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I'm also there working alongside him. So I'm his helpmate. Do you get what I'm saying?
And that's beautiful. So he's leading,
Yes.
but he doesn't need to micromanage you.
No, he doesn't.
Because over your domain, he's trusted you to
And
be fully
because
in charge.
We're working on the same mission. Because it is pivotal for us to have the mission in the man. Because the mission will change at different points in our lives.
Absolutely.
So once we come together, communication.
Yes.
Once we communicate that, okay, this is the mission that we're doing today. I can't back out on my deal. So I say, okay, Michelle, remember you said that you're going to do this. I said, okay, baby, today it was really challenging with Malachi. Could you speak to him for me, please? But I know this is my part of the mission. There are days I'm saying, okay, Michelle, I'm not handling this financial thing properly. Could you just handle this for me, please? But we're working together.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
So what I'm hearing you saying is that you have your domain.
Yes.
But things can get difficult, you can get challenging, and
Yes.
so you can help each other.
Yes.
But in the midst of that, you still understand
Working
that
towards
that's
the
your
mission.
responsibility,
Yes. So
and you're
yes.
together working for the mission.
Yes.
So whether the mission is my part of the mission, my domain is I need to do the cooking. That doesn't mean he never cooks.
cooks.
Right.
No.
Right? But when he cooks, you appreciate it because you
Yes.
realize that he's
Yes.
helping you with your side of the mission. Right? And so I guess conversely, you may say the same thing in terms of, hey, things can happen. Maybe he finds himself on hard times. Maybe he has an injury and he can't earn. What do you do in that situation? Do you go, well,
That now
your job
becomes
is to
my
make the money.
mission. Yes. No, that now becomes my mission because guess what? We're working together. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because that happens. So say that I have to go back to work if my husband loses his job. That's now the mission and he stays with the children. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's really working together. How can we complement each other? It's a synergy. We're working together to make this thing happen, to make this thing work.
Okay, great. And I wanted to unpack that because I want to ask now this question. And this question is, which is easier? And you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of being the boss babe versus being in the traditional. Which do you find yourself more naturally fulfilled? And I'm going to come to you next,
Okay,
Shonda.
for me, staying at home for me
Yes.
I feel more fulfilled because the children doing well, they're doing this, I'm there. So for me, I feel much better, and this is my situation. I can't speak for the other person
Yes.
because I know some people say I can't stay home with them, they drive me crazy. No, I can't do it. You get what I'm saying? While some women they stay home but they send the children to school. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it all depends on your situation. Because the situation with my son, I had to homeschool him. Do you get what I'm saying? And that for me is challenging sometimes. Because he's there seeing me as mommy and seeing me as teacher. You know what I mean? But there are days when I say, baby, be the principal today, please. Talk to Malachi. Baby, Michaela not listening to this part of the thing. Talk to her for me, please. So there are days when he has to take Malachi and go on side and say, okay, go through this for me, please. Even though that's my part of the mission. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
There are days when I say, no, I'm tired. I can't do this today. Not cooking today. I'm saying, okay, I'll pick up something. So if you're willing to work it, it can work. Trust me, it's a beautiful thing if you're willing to just work the journey. Because like I said, there are days when this gentleman said, Michelle, I can't bother with you today, you know. And there are days when I said, Clayton, I can't bother with you today, truly. You know what I mean? So if you're willing to do it God's way, if you're willing to work it, listen, man, God bless it, listen bountifully. And there are days when my husband said, boy, Michelle, we don't have any money today. What are we going to do? Okay, then. I do my art. I'll sell my art. You get what I'm saying? I'll do so many different creative things.
To fill the gap.
Yeah, to fill the gap. So, you know what I mean? It's just, are you willing to work it? If you're willing to work it, it will work.
Beautiful. And I want to come to you, Shonda. I guess you don't have kids and you haven't been married yet, so you can't yet. There we go.
Oh, bless the Lord.
What do you find rewarding in your current mission? We talked about the challenges of being a boss at work. What are the rewards of that? Because we have to weigh both sides. So when someone is looking at the decision, they go, "Hey, I do enjoy going to job, making money, do these things. It's real." What are the rewarding aspects?
For me, I made this decision a long time ago that this is something that I love doing, my job, my career, and I always said that, if you choose a job that you love, you never have to work another day in your life. And while it is work, it doesn't always feel like work because it is a passion, it's a joy, and I'm making an impact.
Yes.
I think for me, I've always based my lifestyle around my three values: faith, family, and happiness / peace. Anything that doesn't align with those, and it makes no sense. And so for me, I'm always rewarded by what I'm doing because I know I'm intentional with what I'm doing and there's purpose in what I'm doing. And it's the word of God that also says that, he who refreshes others will be refreshed.
Amen.
I am. And so there are some rewards to it in that I'm choosing to fall in love with what God has blessed me to have as my gifts and my talents. And I'm seeing the reward based on the impact that I'm making. And then apart from my job, my career, I'm also in ministry. I have I'm a part of a beautiful ministry, praise and worship ministry. And that to me is rewarding when I hear people that are babies and still drinking milk, or if I should say, just still learning about God and faith and the faith. When I hear them singing the song after the service is long done, and they're like, "Oh, that song was that to me is rewarding. That to me is fulfilling, because I'm seeing that, what, God, I'm a little drop in the bucket of water and of what you're doing, but there's still good from what I'm doing. There's still a blessing from it all." So there are a lot of rewards. There are a lot of rewards. I get to meet a lot of people. I get to share my mission and my ministry. People are inspired by what I'm doing, and they themselves now they're deciding to carry on and take up that mantle, or take up that sort of mission as well. And so there are just so many little rewards and big rewards that I'm just taking it, but I try not to take any credit for it, because I'm in a season where God can really he's taking credit for it.
I'm going to drop a bomb right now, because even as I heard you, because that's what I do, right?
That's what you do.
Even as I heard you share just now, I heard you connecting to the aspects of the ministry. You shared about connecting with the children, connecting with the young people, connecting with your own ministry. I didn't hear a lot of emphasis, while you said it a couple of times, I didn't hear a lot of emotional emphasis on the boss babe aspects.
It's, because I don't really always want to be a boss. I don't always want to be making the tough decisions.
Yes.
and always, I'm in a place right now in my career that there's a lot of autonomy, there's a lot of freedom to make decisions, and I have to make a lot of decisions in my day-to-day tasks. I don't really always like being the boss. It makes me tough, it makes me hard, it doesn't make me soft, it doesn't make me stay in my soft feminine energies, because for me, I believe it really wasn't created that particular space
domain.
And environment domain, right? But I make the most of it, and what's rewarding is that I can make a lot of decisions with a Christian mindset, or with the Christian mind, with the Christian lifestyle or aspect in mind.
So that's the bomb I'm trying to connect to as we draw to a close, right? I'm wondering if, even as we're saying, hey, the gift of choice is an awesome and wonderful thing, and we want to make sure that whoever wants to decide, they can decide based on choice, and they can do whatever makes them most fulfilled. I'm wondering if there are women out there who they want to, no, let me say it a different way. They find themselves feeling more fulfilled in the softer aspects of life, but for some reason, either through messaging or through life, they've found themselves where they have to be in that hard place, right? I'm wondering if there might be let's call it a nefarious enemy out there that is pushing women into
You want to find it nicer?
You rephrase that.
Yes, please.
And as believers, we say it many times. We say, hey, the devil is against marriage, and we say that, hey, he doesn't want to see marriage work. And so it's not far-fetched to believe then that he could be pushing us into a place where he says, hey, this is how it can work. But it doesn't work like that. He can be saying, hey, you can do it all, wonderful wife. You can be the best wife and the best boss, and you can have all of these things. And you know what? Hey, you can be a boss at work, and then you can come home and take off the boss cloak and just be a wonderful, submissive wife. But I'm wondering if that may be a greater challenge than we present it to be.
Yes.
no thought, just like
Yes. It could be a greater challenge because you see that there is a divide, that you're torn. As Michelle mentioned, there was a struggle. And naturally it shouldn't be a struggle. It should be just an ease. It should be something that is you're not a slave to. You're not obligated to. You're not conformed to. I do think that it will be a greater challenge. It is a greater challenge, Michelle. But you can.
What do you say? Can we speak for me?
Yes.
It was a greater challenge for me, I must say. Some women probably handling their business very well.
Very well.
But I was struggling. Listen, I was dying slowly. So, I'm just saying that coming home to my family, oh my God. Oh my God. Probably if I hadn't, I would lose my family today.
wow.
If I didn't make that decision, I'm being transparent.
And
And I never realized that if I didn't make that choice to stay with my family, I would lose my family today.
And I love and I appreciate your transparency, because we also talk about the statistics that go along with divorce and relationships that are breaking apart and families that are now suffering, because as persons try to strike that balance, they're torn. And as you said, because of them being torn, they may not necessarily be seeing each other. They may not necessarily be connecting with each other as strongly, as powerfully. And because of that, the relationship fractures.
Yeah.
The relationship withers and falls apart. And so we have a lot of children who are now the products of broken homes because of this challenge. And so the question here is, how do we then make it, your best advice, how would you for yourself, Shanda, make it a little bit easier for you to make that decision, for you to go, hey, I do want this, I do desire this. How can I make it easier for myself to make that decision?
I think it's a matter of making space. Making space. And I'm not married yet. I don't have kids, but my ministry is
Yes.
my family.
Yes.
So I try, and it has happened before where I was so consumed by my career and I was just starting out that I lost a lot of days and a lot of family time. And it wasn't until my dad was sick that things turned, when I started to recognize, no. In my job, if something happens to me in my job, they're gonna replace me. But my family, who God blessed me to have, like, that is much more important. And so it took me a minute, but I made space, and I was intentional with making that space. And I think going into marriage and going into the next season, the next chapter of my life, I recognize the need to be intentional. We have to be intentional with all other aspects and spaces of our lives. So for me, it's making space and being intentional about making space and taking time out, figuring out, okay, what is it that my family needs from me right now?
I love that you said that, and that's really powerful. And I want to get you to weigh in on it as well, Michelle, because I want to connect it to the end of the article where our friend from Vogue magazine, her name again is, make sure I'm giving credit, what's her name again? Her name is Monica Ainley, and she ends the article by saying this. She says, as he pays the bills in full, trad wives don't split the tab, and my week-long experiment officially comes to a close, I feel a rush of relief. Not only that it's over, but also that my husband hasn't become a convert. Maybe I'll amend my first rule of feminism to don't knock it until you've tried it. And now that I have, I know one thing for sure. If my daughter one day expresses an interest in the trad wife life, I will steer her in a different direction.
And again, that's her opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if my daughter decides to do that, I'm going to applaud her. If she decides to be a doctor, I'm going to applaud her. If my son decides, listen, hey, I'm going to stay with my children, that is a hard one, but I still applaud him. You know what I mean? Because in me staying home with my family, I saw the benefits. My family transformed in so many ways that it's, even me reflecting, I wouldn't believe that I would be here. I thought I would lose my house, and I imagined all the negative things in the world that would happen if I leave my job. And God mercy. Sometimes we sing these songs, guys. Trust me, persons out there, once you make the decision, God will do the rest. He will deliver. He will come through for you. Once you're doing it His way, He comes through. On one salary, I get to travel the world. And when I was working 2 salary, I couldn't go nowhere.
Wow.
Tired and stressed. You know what I mean? So God is truly awesome, man. And sometimes we hear the word, we say the word, but we don't trust Him. We don't walk Him. We don't take that leap of faith. But just try Him, test Him, prove Him. God is not afraid of our testing. No, just prove Him and say, just test Him, guys, and realize that, yeah, man, God come through. He will. He will.
Beautifully said. Any final thoughts?
Different strokes for different folk. Monica mentioned, don't strike it until you tried it.
Yes.
And I would say the same. I don't ever want to discount the decision that Michelle has made and other women have made to step out of the career and being the modern woman and into the home. They can be modern there as well. They can make it their own. And that is what I love. I admire that, and I'm a fan of those that try, because anything that you decide, it will be a challenge. There will be challenges, but it's also lending a support for people that are making the decision.
Yeah.
You know, being our sister's keeper, being
Man,
there
that's
for one
That's
another,
right,
and encouraging. My mother has never. I actually won't say that. She doesn't pressure me as much now, but she admires my decision. She appreciates the road that I've taken, and you know, in comparison to my peers, you know, a lot of my friends, female friends, they are married, they have kids, and some have come to me and say, I'm living vicariously through you, because they recognize that their role as mother and maybe wife as well, it's challenging, and I don't ever want to rush the process, because I know that God has, to everything there's a season and time under heaven, and I know that God has His reason for everything. My mission as a single woman is not complete. There is still purpose in there and in that, and so I know that when I make that decision, I transition, there is another season, another challenge. And so to all the single young women out there, you know, just trust God. It is not easy, and I know it's not easy, because there's so much pressure and so much inward and external pressures, but I know that God is God, and anything under His control is never out of it. So just keep trusting, and I'm learning, and I will continue to learn from those around me.
Awesome. Final thoughts from you, Michelle?
Just let go and let God. Ladies, if you decide to come home to your family, God have your back. Trust Him and believe He has your back. Okay?
Awesome. This has been another awesome episode of The Wrecking Trade, where we unpack the conversation in the male-female dynamic. We encourage persons to make their own decisions, make your own choice, find your own path. But we also believe that there's a path that was designed by our Creator that does work, that can work, that we see working. We see forces that may push against this working, and we don't push anyone to make a decision in any direction, but we encourage you that try God, try His path, and see how powerful that can be in your life. And part of that path, as I talk to my young men, is while, as Michelle has said, if her son was going to make the choice to be a stay-at-home, that it's a hard one, but she would encourage it. My thought to you is that may be an option for you, but part of the design for men, God encourages us as men to be leaders, to be heads, and to be the protectors, providers, and priests. You can do that and maybe still be it, but it may be just a little bit more challenging, as we have talked about, that while you can be a boss babe and be a wonderful wife in the household, it does make life a little bit challenging. So the message, the takeaway here is you can do anything you choose to do, but think through what makes your job, your life, your purpose easier, or may it make it just a little bit more difficult. With that, we let you decide right here on The Wrecking Trade. Thank you for listening, and until next time, I'm Robert Lynch saying peace. Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, the radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands.